What's going on, guys? It's Steven here from Digital Renovations. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, hit the little bell icon, and do a handstand if you want to help me out and stay up to date with the latest videos here from Digital Renovations. Today we're chatting about how you can start to implement security within your Postman workflows. Obviously, cybersecurity is at the forefront of everyone's mind these days, and with API first solutions and microservice architectures being so prominent, securing these connections should be top of mind for anyone learning about integration technology. First, let's chat about authentication and authorization. I think pretty much every job interview I've had as a solutions architect, someone has asked me what the difference between authentication and authorization is. I like to think of it this way. Authentication is validating who you are, so do you work in this office? Awesome, come inside past this security gate. Authorization is really more about what you're allowed to do when you're in there. So anyone can go into the bathroom, but are you allowed to mess around in the server room? Can you go build a robot in the top secret robotics lab? So how do we tackle this over APIs? It's not like we've got a Google login screen every time we want to sign in and make an API call, so how do we do it? Let's jump into Postman and have a look at where we set this up. We can see here in our Postman collection that we have an authorization tab. So if we click this, we can see that we've got an auth type option, and we can use this authorization method for every request in the collection, and that you can override it in the specific requests. So here we're able to select from a large range of different authentication methods. So I thought we'd take a look at them one by one, or at least the most popular ones. Before we jump back in and do that, let's take a look at where we find it within the actual requests. So if we jump into a request here, we can see once again we've got an authorization tab here. The default is that it inherits its auth type from its parent, but you can actually go in and specify for each individual request what authentication method you want to be using. If we take a look through the list, there's some that you're going to be familiar with and others not so much. So now we're going to take a look at the 7 most popular authentication methods when you're dealing with APIs in Postman, when to use them, and what challenges they can present. First up, we're going to take a look at API keys. So at a high level, these are simple, they're lightweight, they're super easy to implement, they're unique to each user or application, so they can handle both authentication and authorization. And you most commonly see them as an element as an HTTP header, or sometimes as a query parameter. The benefits of using API keys are that they're super easy to manage and distribute, and they're a fast way to authenticate and authorize. You see them most in usually public APIs, where you sign up for a developer account or assign a key. This means that we can see them built into a lot of web applications, mobile applications, and even in some server-to-server communication situations. The main thing to be careful with API keys is that it's fairly easy for an API key to be leaked or compromised, giving access to a third party, and you have limited fine-grained access control. Typically, you'd see administration of this through scopes. Next up, let's have a chat about the one that most people have dealt with, even if they didn't realize it. That's right, OAuth 2. It's an industry standard for authorization framework that supports multiple flows, issues tokens for access to protected resources. The benefit here is that it's super scalable and it's flexible in its implementation. It can be used to support multiple different use cases and flows, and can be used for more complex authorization scenarios. You usually see it as part of social media login integrations, so like where you can go sign in with your Google account or apply for a job with your LinkedIn account. Some third-party apps will also utilize something like this. One of the big ones that you often see is companies like Okta, who use OAuth to secure your access to multiple different tools. It's not perfect though. From a security standpoint, the things to be careful of are if a token is leaked or intercepted, and the potential for vulnerabilities in your authorization server itself. So what else have we got? Coming up next, JSON Web Tokens, JWT. Lots of people love JSON Web Tokens as an option for authentication. It's secure, compact, super easy to implement. The tokens contain user information and signatures, giving you a stateless authentication and authorization method. These tokens are awesome because they give you a fast way to handle both authentication and authorization. And they're scalable, meaning they're great for microservice architectures. So you see them a lot in microservice architectures, as I mentioned. But they're also definitely used in mobile and web apps, as well as server-to-server communication. The bit you need to be careful with, tokens can be tampered with and forged. So you need a way to manage your secret keys, and you'll also need a way to manage your secret keys. Next on our list, Basic Auth. Basic Auth is simple and widely supported, though it's a lot less secure than some of the other options, because credentials are just sent in plain text with each request. So usually you'd see this more in internal applications. The benefit is it's easy to implement, it's fast to authenticate, so it's really well suited to internal tools and legacy systems that leverage traditional logins. Other than internal tools and legacy systems, the main place you see Basic Auth is within development environments. So obviously you need to be careful that the credentials aren't intercepted or logged, and be mindful that you also have a limited fine-grained access control with this method. Next up, we're going to look at Digest Auth. Now, Digest Auth is more secure than Basic Auth because it leverages hashed credentials that it sends with each request. It's popular because it's a level more secure than Basic Auth. In a similar way, it's used for more internal tools and legacy systems. The security challenges to be aware of with Digest Auth are that the hashes could be compromised or leaked in a similar way to Auth credentials. And once again, you have limited fine-grained access control. So, what about Hawk authentication? Hawk authentication is secure, it's super fast, it's fantastic for use with APIs and seen a lot in Internet of Things, IoT devices, and uses something called MAC, so Message Authentication Code, for authentication. People use it because of its speed and its highly secure nature. It often finds itself in high security server-to-server and IoT authentication use cases. Things to be wary of: you will need a way to manage your MAC keys securely, and you need to be wary of replay attacks. Last up today, we're going to take a look at AWS Signature. AWS is prolific today, and they have their own specific to AWS services auth solution. It uses hash-based message authentication codes, HMAC for short, and it's popular because it's easy to implement with AWS service integrations, it's secure, it's scalable, and it can be used for server-to-server communication, which is one of the main places that you'll see it. Obviously, cloud-based applications are the native habitat for this. When you're thinking about it from a security point perspective, the main concerns are going to be secret key management and replay attacks. I hope you found this helpful. We may do a deep dive on some of these and how we can set them up in future videos. For now, don't forget, like, share, subscribe if you found this helpful and want to see more content like this. And until next time, have a good one.